You've probably noticed that I've got quite a few videos out, probably over 200 by the time I've edited this one, and you might think, oh my god, that's a lot of stuff to get through. Now, what is this guy banging on about? And it might seem rather heavy going. Well, I'm actually banging on about the Yoga Vasistha, which here is described as the supreme yoga. And in reading this and in commenting on it, it might seem quite heavy going and quite a tangle actually. But the thing is, it's perfectly simple. And it's not about ideas. It's not about trying to get our head around something, although actually it is almost in a literal sense about trying to get our head around it, because we're not going to get this with our head. We've got to try and get our head around it, out of the way of it, because what's happening here is simply a description of how things are from how they are. We're so used to talking about things through notions about things. We've completely confused our notions about things with how things actually are, with our actual experiencing. It's a bit like trying to explain water to a fish, assuming that you can enter into communication with a fish. You started talking about water to a fish. Would they have any idea what you're talking about? Well, I suppose they might have. It'd be like talking about air, and maybe a clever fish would be able to devise some experiments to prove the existence of water. But what we're talking about here in the Yoga Vasistha is much subtler than water, much subtler than air. It's consciousness. And you actually get some very intelligent people saying that there's no such thing as consciousness. And in fact, I was looking up a philosophical dictionary a while back, and it said that consciousness eludes definition. Oh, I'm going to give a definition of consciousness here, although I quite like the idea that consciousness eludes definition, because it cannot actually be defined. But a definition would help. I'm going to give a definition in the sense of trying to point us to it, or point you to consciousness. Consciousness is awareness. And somebody who denies that there's such a thing as consciousness is denying their awareness. And consciousness is simply that which I can either affirm or deny, that there's such a thing as consciousness. If you say there's no such thing as consciousness, well, how can you say that? I don't mean from a logical or philosophical point of view. I'm talking about the actual being able to say it. It seems to me that it's an act of consciousness to be able to say that there's no such thing as consciousness. So consciousness is what allows us to say that there's no such thing as consciousness. And indeed, I certainly wouldn't dispute that statement, that there's no such thing as consciousness. There's no such thing as consciousness as a concept, as a notion. There is only consciousness. There's only awareness. Is that difficult? If I asked you, are you aware? you would say, of course I am, of course I'm aware. All I'm saying is, well, let's take a look at that awareness. What does that awareness allow you to do? What does it allow you to experience? It allows you to experience everything. And we've got, you might have a sense of that awareness, but then you might be thinking, well, what's the big deal? And perhaps there isn't any big deal. Although I think when you start really looking into it, it's a massive deal. It's a massive deal. Because from this simple awareness comes all the notions that we've got. It's from this simple awareness that all notions of creation arise. Notions of perception, notions of who you are, your identity, notions of a world out there, notions of God. It's from this awareness all the great questions arise, like why is there suffering in the world? This awareness is it's suggested that there's actually only one awareness. It's not your awareness, it's not my awareness, because notions of you and me are simply that, they arise from the awareness. It's a bit like saying, if I've got a part here and a part here, is the space within them different? Or is it one space? If this is you here and this is me here, is the awareness between them different? Or is it one awareness? Because this awareness hasn't got any particular qualities. It's what allows everything to be made aware of, or to become aware of. It's difficult to find the right way of phrasing that. That awareness is of the same quality. So we can't actually say it's different anymore, that we can say that the space in this pan here is different from the space in this pan here. We can put different things into it, but it's just the same space, isn't it? So it suggests, I mean, this is an idea, but it's something which is an idea which carries a certain resonance, it helps us to get over that the notion that this idea of, that this awareness is nothing in particular. It's just little old me walking around. So that tends to be how we respond to this awareness, with a little shrug of the shoulders. And in a way, the Yoga Vasistha is about awareness appreciation. Awareness appreciation. And in that awareness appreciation, we're taken on to cosmic perspectives, because this awareness is cosmic, not as an idea. It can be appreciated in its nature once you've got rid of the limiting ideas about the nature of this awareness, which you have. I say you have, but that's just a way of talking, but it's where you're coming from. You're coming from this awareness. Look at how you colour it. Let's appreciate it. Let's appreciate what's happening with this awareness. That means bringing in certain notions and ideas, but these are only being used to counteract the limiting ideas and notions we might have about this awareness. But if you contemplate this awareness, which is not an idea, it's you. If you contemplate this, then its extraordinary nature, its miraculous nature becomes apparent.